Hello and welcome to Coxy's Picks, and in one of my recent shorts you may have seen me sporting this. This is the butterfly comb pick that I modified to be a shim for handcuffs. Let me just demonstrate it. So there we are, it's obviously a butterfly comb. Put it into position like so, little push, and then the cuff will open up freely. Kind of cool, kind of expensive. So I thought, that's a little bit out of reach for most people. Plus the fact that I had to modify this, and it's still a little bit longer than the actual tool itself, so it hangs out at the bottom. So I had a silly idea. Why not one of those cheap flip combs? Let's see if we can modify that. So this is made of metal. It's a very thin naff metal, and this is made out of a plastic comb. So what I need to do is remove this, tweak this, and then hopefully I'll have a flick shim, which could be kind of funny. So let's give it a go and see what happens. So far the running cost is, that's 65, that's £6. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so just brutally pulled this out. So as you can see, we've got this piece of plastic and there, and it was all hugged into this. Now I want to keep this to give it strength, so I'm just going to remove there. Right, so I'm just going to cut it, and then with any luck we'll be able to fold it all back up, and we'll just have a long piece of metal, which is kind of cool. But I did actually have a think and think I actually needed, say, this much metal on this bit here. So I don't know, I might leave some of the plastic in there just to give it rich. So I'm just going to cut halfway. You can always cut more if need be, but I'll cut halfway and then see how we get on. So there we are, one nice clean trim. What I need to do is, this piece of metal on the bottom side is almost the perfect thickness, and it is, believe it or not, the right width that I want anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove and trim this so that I've got the one side, but keep this in here so it's nice and rigid. So we're just going to cut a little piece out, and I probably think a pair of scissors will do it because it is very thin metal, but I'll give it a go and see what I can come up with. Okay, so we've got half of it cut off. I now have some very sharp edges, so what I need to do is I need to file this and make sure it's nice and flat, and then we can start taking some measurements and make sure I'm good. Okay, it's very quick and it's very dirty. It needs a lot of polishing for it to be effective, but we've got the basis of a shim. So what are we looking at here thickness wise? Ideally we want to see 0.3, but I believe this is going to be slightly under, so let's give it a go. 0.4, it's a little bit chunky, so it could go a bit thinner, but it's very flimsy, it's not good grade metal. And the width wise, ideally I like to see 3.6 for TCH. Let's have a little look. 4.1, whoa, this is going to be tight. I should really take some more off this, some more meat off the bones, but let's give it a go, see what happens. So the easiest way to test it without putting any force on the cuff is to take your shim and your cuff and just slot it down. So as you can see, it's a little bit snug, but we're going to take a capitalize on a little bit of an exploit because it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top, and it does fit. So do I give it a go? Why not? So there's the cuff. Right, so first off, let's see if it's still, oh, might need to straighten it, that'll be helpful. Right, so item one, it'll pop out, and it pops. It didn't flick off into the distance, and it goes into the cuff. 3, 2, 1, push, and there it works. Okay, so I need to straighten this, tidy it up, probably take a little bit off the trim, and that should be good to go. I suppose we need to test it properly, so I'll tidy it up and we'll test it. Alright, so there it is, there's the item. Now what I will say is that when it springs open nicely, but this is now very flimsy because it is, well, Chinesian metal, if you can call it that. It's more like aluminium foil, to be honest, but there we are, it's nipped up. So let's get some cuffs. I'm suggesting the TCH 850 fold and rigid. Love these cuffs. Right, we'll get them stuck on, right, in the traditional Hollywood pose, right, and then we'll take out our stage prop. And our stage prop is going to fly out just like so. One thing you will need to take note of is it's a little bit longer than usual. So over you go, get it into position. Don't even need to touch the bow because we've got the dimensions right. Just push it straight in. What do I mean by that? Well, look, if I keep my hands completely free, you can see I'm placing it in. Just going to push it in just like so, and that is the cuff shimmed. So get your measurements right and everything becomes a lot easier. There we are. So that's the tool. You can see it probably wouldn't last much performances, but for £6, that is an absolute genius stage prop.